Good morning, everyone. Hi, it's Ray back with you once again. The YouTube channel, Life on the Road with Yeshua. I share my experiences on the road as a rookie trucker and what the Lord Yeshua does in my life every single day. As you can see, we're not in our truck. We are at home on our 36-hour reset, and I'm making this video because somebody had asked me a question, and I found it to be a really good question, and I wanted to post a video regarding it. The gentleman's name, I can't make it out. It's Kegsdoes. I'm not sure how you say that. I apologize if I butchered that. They're asking, how do you like driving in Calgary? In my opinion, as a European, I think it's really stressful, at least in the downtown area. I'd like to hear more about your experiences with all of those tight backup spots. I'm really curious about that. If I missed that on an older video, I'm sorry. Are you actually able to choose what truck you would like to drive in matter of the tranny? Thanks. Well, thank you very much for the question. I appreciate that. First part of your question, how do I like driving in Calgary? Calgary's pretty good. Calgary's a lot easier to drive through as for cities than other cities like Vancouver and Edmonton, because they have designed that city very well when it comes to accessing the different parts of the city. You've got places like Glenmore Trail, which almost go right from one end to the, well, it actually does. It starts from one end north of the city and right through, and then you've got Stony Trail, which is a really nice highway which goes almost all the way around, and I think they're still building that, which I think in the end it's going to end up going around the entire city. And you've got Deerfoot Trail and that. Driving in I'd rather drive in Calgary any day than drive in Vancouver. It's just much easier to get from point A to point B. And they've actually got truck stops in Calgary. They don't have a whole lot for truck stops in Vancouver. You also said, I'd like to hear more about those, more about your experiences with the tight backup spots. And you mentioned too, it's stressful driving in cities, and you know what, it is. It can be very stressful. But what I find, especially if you got to back into a spot that's really, really bad, if you're fighting with pedestrians or you're fighting with traffic, find out if you can show up early. That's what I mentioned on one of my other videos. Call the place, because usually you'll have the phone number to the consignee or your client that you're delivering to, and find out if you can drop a little bit early. If you're in a situation where you can't drop a little bit early, well, then scope out the area on Google Map and just kind of explore what would be the best way to get in there. That's what I like to do ahead of time, especially if I've never been there before. I will use Google Map and get a satellite shot, not necessarily the map shot, but the satellite shot, and check and find out where the loading dock is, and just trying to plan my trip ahead of time in that area. Don't always trust the GPS, especially if you're using a regular GPS, because it's not going to tell you the truck routes. So maybe ask another trucker on the radio the easiest way to get in there, or the truck routes that lead to that. But I think the main thing is just be calm, because you've got that truck, you've got that 53-foot trailer behind you, and if you have to stop on the side of the road and put your four-ways on, who's going to move you? Who's going to tow you? Especially if you're not sure about area. I remember dropping off in a mall complex that I've never been at before, and as I drove in, I could see the store that I needed to deliver to over here, and there's a huge parking lot in front, and I had no clue which way. There's two spots to get into the loading dock, but you don't know which way the loading dock is facing, or should I say, if you have to back in this way or if you have to back in that way. So there's been situations where I have just pulled over in a safe area where there's two lanes where people can get around me, put on my four-ways, get out of the truck, lock it, and take a walk and find out where that loading dock is to save myself some grief. Because there's been places when I first started driving where I just drove in, not thinking about it, and realized, uh-oh, I'm in the wrong way. Now I've got to back out all the way and back through a traffic light. It was really disastrous. So I learned really fast not to do that. But I think the main thing, the main key, is just to be calm. And if you have the Lord on your side, say a prayer. There's lots of times that I've been in situations where I just said, Lord, I don't know how I'm going to get into this spot. Can you please help me get in here? And generally, it goes really smooth. And I give God all the glory and all the credit for that, because I know He helps me get into certain places. And by simply giving me the patience, giving me the calmness. So, and backing in some of these loading docks, if you go back and watch some of the other videos, you'll see that it's not always a pleasant thing. Especially, I remember this one incident where I was downtown Edmonton, right in the downtown core. Fortunately, it was a holiday, so there wasn't a whole lot of traffic, but that didn't really help the situation, because one of the places I had to deliver to was right off the main drag that goes right downtown. Actually, I was right downtown. The skyscrapers were right there, and I'm thinking, oh, this is not going to be fun. So I drive around the store, and there is the store I want to deliver to, and behind the store are other stores. So it was connected to other stores, and I'm thinking, okay, you can't drive behind the store. Where on earth is the loading dock? So I drove in front, took my chance, and there's this big opening where a sliding door opens up, and I'm thinking that can't be their loading dock. And I asked them, and sure enough it was. So I had to back, or I had to pull into the parking lot and back, and they opened this big sliding door, and there is this big gaping hole. I'm thinking, you want me to back in there? And they went, yep. This was not made for a 53-foot trailer. This was made for 5-ton. These stores obviously were something else. One of the other stores that I delivered to, that's a real nightmare to get into, it used to be a Chapters. It was not made for a big truck. It was not made for a highway truck. It was made for a 5-ton truck. But they still expect us to get those things in there. So anyway, regarding the downtown Edmonton one, I backed in with about 2 inches to spare on each side of my mirrors, and but I did it calmly. That's just the thing. I mean, if you look at something that looks really, really difficult, just look around, check all your angles, find out exactly if you're going to need a spotter, if there's people or traffic driving around, and ask one of the people. Always carry an extra safety vest in your truck. That's what I do. I have my jacket here, which is it's a really good reflective jacket. This actually glows in the dark pretty well. But I also picked up a safety vest for like $7 or $8 at some place in Abbotsford or wherever. You just go to a place where you pick up, you know, this kind of stuff, safety gear, and just pick up an extra safety vest and leave it in your truck. So in the event where they say, well, I'm sorry, I can't really help you, I don't have a safety vest, you can go, here we go. Because a lot of the time the clients will help you back in, because it means they're going to get their load. And second of all, a lot of them are safety conscious anyway. They don't want to see any of their customers get run over. So always carry an extra safety vest with you. So if you can't back into a certain place, you can ask one of the employees to come out and give you a hand, and you can give them the safety vest, and that way you're covered. Your liability is covered. Their liability is covered. And everyone's happy. But I think the main thing is, and this is regarding driving in the city, and this is backing into really tight spots, especially if you're backing up, never back up on your blind side unless it's absolutely necessary. There was one place in Kamloops I had to back into, and I had no other choice. I had to back in on my blind side. So I adjusted my mirror to the point where I could still see the back of my trailer, and I'd back in about 6-7 inches, maybe a foot, stop, get out of the truck, take a look. I had to get out and take a look probably about 15 times. And the client might have thought it was funny, but you know what? I'd rather be safe than sorry, backing into a hydro box or a telephone pole or something, and all of a sudden those wires come down on you. And it doesn't look very good for the company either if you start running over everything or backing into cars. And especially if you're doing this in a parking lot, other pedestrians, other people that are driving behind you, they don't really, they see a big truck backing up and they go, oh, that's special. Yeah. Well, let's see if I can squeeze through there anyway. I'm going to gain about 30 seconds of time before I get into my parking stall. So I'm going to make this trucker's life miserable. And I'm going to keep backing, you know, cars keep backing behind you. And you got to stop. You got to get out. You got to look. And you're like, are you going to stop? I am backing up. Wheels turning. I mean, people just don't get it. Put them in the driver's seat of the truck. Get out of the truck and say, can you back this thing up and let me pull back and forth and see how you like it? So, no, don't be like that. I try to treat the public with courteousness, with a smile, because if you are friendly and you're not, yeah, what the heck are you doing, you idiot, blah, 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 blah. If you start doing that, people are going to get angry at you and they're going to think, how ignorant is that? Plus you've got the markings of your company all over your truck. In some cases, in my case I do. Why would I want to do that and give the company a black eye? I wouldn't do that. Besides, that's not the kind of person I am anyway. And a lot of the time, if I get out every 5 minutes and take a look, I've had times where people have pulled their car over and said, I'll help you, because even they were frustrated because the people wouldn't let me through. So I think, as for backing up, if you can avoid it 100% or 99%, always back up on your good side where you can keep an eye on your trailer. Backing up on your blind side is the worst thing you can do. And if you have to back up on your blind side, get out and look every foot if you have to, until you know you're clear and you can straighten your truck out and then you can see both mirrors. And make sure your mirrors are clean, of course. But I think the main thing, the main key is just be patient. If you're in a situation where you have to back into a place that almost looks impossible, just shut the engine off, put your four-ways on, take a good walk around the truck, just try to picture how you're going to back into this, and sing to yourself, hum to yourself, or whistle, or in your case, in my case, if I'm a believer in Yeshua, I will say a little prayer. Say, Lord, this looks pretty difficult to get in here. Can you help me get in here? Because I don't know if I can do it on my own. And just be very, very calm. Be very calm about it. And if there's anybody else nearby or they're in their vehicles, just kind of warn them, I'm backing in here, so they know. And a lot of the time, some people will be patient enough and even help you through it. So, key thing, just be very patient and look at everything with a very, very positive attitude, and you'll be okay. Because that's what I've been doing. And let me tell you, some of the places I had to squeeze into, I laughed after I had backed in, just because I could not believe I was able to back into that thing. Because when I first got my driver's license, the motor vehicle branch, ICBC, the only requirement they have when you're taking your driver's, your road test, is that you back up in a straight line for about 10 feet. Who can't do that? I mean, back in on an angle. Now that can be difficult when you're trying to take your driver's test, and I can guarantee you that a lot of people taking that test would probably fail it almost every single time if they had to do that. Because a lot of the driving schools, they don't teach you how to back into places. They teach you how to back up in a straight line, and that's it. But that's not enough. Thankfully and graciously, Challenger had a 2-month training program when I got hired on. They gave me training in the city, they gave me training on the highway, they gave me some extensive training on backing up on angles, and I'm really grateful for that, because they didn't teach me that when I was when I went to my driving school. They just didn't teach you that stuff. So that's another reason why I like this company. That's another reason why I plan to stick with this company as long as they'll have me, because they forked out quite a bit of money to teach me a few extra skills, and I think I owe that to them to give back. So anyway, I'm not going to try to say your name again, but thank you very much. Oh yeah, you also asked Are you actually able to choose what truck you would like to drive in matter of the tranny? Not really. They will assign you a truck. I've got a 13 manual, but when that truck broke down, I ended up in, well, a couple of trucks have broken down at the time. They're changing all the trucks over this year because these other ones are getting old. Things go, transmissions go, and differentials go. That's just part of the game. I mean, that's a lot of wear and tear that's put on that truck. I mean, I think each trip I put 25 or sometimes 2,600 kilometers just on one trip. So you're looking at about 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers or more. No, wait. Oh, I don't even want to think. 5, 10, 15, 20. I don't even want to think of how many kilometers I put on the truck that I'm driving right now a month, but a lot. And that's just driving back and forth from BC to Alberta. But I did, the truck I had, or the truck before the one I had, the one I have right now has been working really good, but the truck I had before, there was quite a bit of things that were wrong with it, and they're constantly fixing it. Thankfully, they put me in the one I have now. But the one I had before is a temporary truck. It was an automatic. Oh, I hated it. It wasn't an I-shift either. It was just an automatic. So you were able to maintain a gear, but when you needed to gear down, if you're going down an icy hill, you had to push a button under the fuel pedal, and it would engage the gear. But sometimes it would go, say, from 9 to 7, or it would go from 13 to 10. It would just skip gears. And when you're going down an icy road and you're like in 13, okay, I need to gear down here because I want to use the Jake just a little. I don't use the Jake heavy a lot, or should I say on the full stage when on any snowy icy road, because that's a disaster waiting to happen, because all of a sudden you're driving down the road and you let your foot off the fuel, and all of a sudden the Jake kicks in, and you're just kind of driving along, and all of a sudden there's the trailer looking at you. I mean, because the truck's gonna slow down, but the trailer ain't gonna slow down if you're using the Jake, especially on icy road. It's gonna try to pass you. And when you see the logo on the side of your trailer in your mirror, you got a problem. I've heard some guys in those situations. Yeah. So I really hope that helps. Don't really have a choice in the trannies that you use, but the new trucks they're coming out with at the end of this year, I believe it is, and I can only hope that they release them maybe a month or two before the winter hits so we can get used to them, is the new 2013s when they have I-shifts in them. And apparently with the I-shift, you can actually choose from manual to automatic, and you can choose what gears you want, which is kind of nice. Or you can choose one gear at a time, rather than it skipping gears. So I hope that helped. And if anyone else has a question about my rookie experiences, what I've been going through, and I'll be happy to pass on whatever I've learned to you. So until next time, bye for now. May the Lord Yeshua be with you all.